All right, we should be streaming live. Happy Saturday, y'all. You can go ahead and let people into the Zoom room. And when you see this on Zoom, hashtag live or hashtag replay, or you see it in Facebook or wherever you're watching this, hashtag live, hashtag replay. We're getting a whole bunch of people hopping on Zoom. If you want to be on this Zoom, grab the link from the description. It's totally free session for you guys. So don't feel shy to come on. And when you do come on, the only rule you have is to turn your photo on and participate. All right, what's up, Cheyenne? How you doing? Happy Saturday to you. Still in Oregon, or are you back in the homeland? Oh, Oregon. Okay, gotcha. Cool. Well, welcome, Cheyenne's a new and awesome GSD inner circle. We're ready to rock and roll, kick some ass with getting your GHL all set up and get your offers selling more effectively. All right, who else we got on here? We got Anne. Is that the Anne Marie or just an Anne? And then Mike, get your camera on. Tracy, Matt, Emma. Let's get some beautiful face. All right, we got Mark Hughes coming back in. Okay, Anne Marie, that's what I thought. When I can't see your face, I gotta guess, Anne. That's what happens. That's what happens. All right, so I'm going to start off today. I got to keep today as brief as possible. So if you guys have questions, put your questions right now. Just raise your hand and put the question in the chat in itself. I'm going to make this a lot about offers. The reason why is because if you're not making the sales that you want, there's two things. Number one, either the offer sucks or the sales strategy sucks. One of those two needs improvement, right? So we just have to face that. And that's really kind of what it comes down to. So many people work so hard on like the offer and it doesn't sell, then they work on the sales process, but then the offer doesn't sell, then vice versa. Then it can turn into a really vicious cycle because there's more components, like there's a traffic source involved too. So there are moving pieces when it comes to running a business. It's not going to be as simple as just one element and then everything goes cohesively. Like we need multiple pillars solved for at the right time so we can actually solve for running a real business, because you guys aren't, for the most part, a lot of you guys have your own business, your own agency, your own type of entrepreneurial career. You're not just a salesperson that just makes commission only, where you have to take somebody else's offer and then get good at sales and then figure out how to spin it, right? Or present it. This is running an entire business. So when things go good, you're happy. When things go bad, you feel like shit. If a client sends out like there are 1 ounce of unhappiness, your emotions get the best of you sometimes, right? That's just the way it works. So we're going to be focusing on offers. Now I want to start off with everybody pull up this website. If you haven't registered right now, go for it. Everybody who's already a VIP, you're going to be you have to register still. But you would have got an automatic registration. And if you didn't, you just let me know in the chat, in the VIP chat on Facebook. So for the rest of you guys, hotdogoffer.com. hotdogoffer.com. So hop on over to this website, hotdogoffer.com. You'll put your payment information in here. We're going to be covering 2 days, maybe 3. Plus, I got a bonus, a special guest, a guy who's exited multiple publicly traded companies, from starting with an offer, innovating this offer, building a team, and having a customer acquisition strategy, and taking a company public, like a one-word domain name. I'll reserve it for whoever attends. Whoever attends is going to get access. Whoever does not attend does not get access to somebody who's taken multiple companies public and exited and makes a lot of money. All right, so go in here, type in your payment information. It's just $7. And then if you stick around after 30 days, so you're going to get access to the masterclass. You're going to get access to 2 portals, our SaaS agency portal, which is going to teach you how to be fucking amazing with SaaS and go high level. And if you're using a competitor to go high level, the principles will help in itself. Number 2 is agency foundations, how to build your agency properly from the ground up. Just like if you're building a home on quicksand and you know it, you're going to die. It's going to fall over. So we teach you how to create something sustainable. Now I know a lot of people say like 40 is the new 20. If you guys have ever heard, like slower is the new speed when it comes to running a business. Like some of you guys are going so fast, you fuck it up and you stumble. Stop running so fast. You have to build the foundation first. And that's just going to be the most simple advice possible. So head on over here and then you can see what's on here. I mean, we're going to over deliver for $7 fucking. So I don't have a big pitch. I know Cody talked about it a couple times, but we'll over deliver. And then speaking of over delivering, anybody on here, can you just kind of chime in and see, like, for $7, and then when it goes and rolls over to 47, for those of you guys that have paid the 47, has this been worth it to you to have me and Cody live like 2 times a week, not just on the promised 1 call a week, but we doubled down with 2 calls a week. So basically 8 to 12 different calls live, plus you have access to over like 50 videos that are on demand that you can watch on your drive to work, picking up your kids, on the gym, on the treadmill. So everybody has the time. So if anybody come off mute and kind of talk about, is it worth it?
100% worth it, because you guys go through like our problems, you go through whatever we have questions about, you guys jump on it and give us a solution. So $47, it's like, dude, I can't imagine. I mean, it's a great deal.
No, let's say you didn't get the problem solved. How much would that cost you?
Thousands.
Thousands. Okay, got it. And then, just not to name names or anything, but could this be better than maybe some of the more expensive training programs that you have, and you're just getting a taste of it? Like, this is just $40.
100%.
Yeah. 100%. I've actually, over the last sort of 4 years, I've worked with a lot of different entrepreneurs, and I've been able to attend some really high-end masterminds as part of their team, and they've paid thousands and thousands of pounds for these training courses. And most of them have had nothing in comparison to what you've delivered for that price. So it absolutely blew my mind. And it's a lot of the high-end guys that I see that have attended these training courses for a year. So yeah, for $7 and then the 47 a month, I've never had content for that ever. That's very specific around the steps rather than the theory. Most people would sell theory, but it doesn't help you in terms of the steps. So you've given the steps, which is 100% beneficial.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, go. You got it, Anne-Marie. The mic is yours.
All right, so yeah, I can attest to it as well, because I have been very successful in the last 15 years, forging my way through the wild with my hair extension business. And I was previously an educator for 10 years. So I had worked for a corporation that said work harder, not smarter. But in an interim, when I was on platforms or talking to multi-million-dollar companies, I had been being used in such a capacity that I left that company $8,000 in debt. So I was able to build my brand and go back to my chair, and I command anywhere between $2,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 an appointment. But I really command it now, and I own what I built after joining your course since February. Because you, Raul, when I said, like, I was at burnout, because when people would call and they would be like, well, how much do you charge? And I'm like, I have to see you in person. I say it's not only helped my bottom line, but it's helped my attitude that I didn't know I had. So thanks.
No, I appreciate that. And that's one of the things that I've said before. Like, a lot of people don't want to buy accountability, but a lot of the things we do is accountability through whether it's inspiration, getting past tough situations, and also reinvigorating the energy of why you do what you do, knowing that there's a better way, because that's kind of like when you're bashing your heads against the wall, it feels that way, and there's no different outcome, then it feels really depleting. But then you know there's going to be an outcome, we just have to keep trying and trying again, but with a little bit more strategy, a small tweak. That's when it unlocks the millionaires in everybody. Until we have those small tweaks, that open-mindedness, the ability to be able to receive help, just like you guys give help to people, that becomes the most important part. Because as entrepreneurs, when you guys are busy trying to help other people, you're blinded by the fact that other people are trying to help you, and you're immediately being your customers and putting up a wall and saying no before you even hear what it is, right? That's how we have to kind of receive information. So it's like, no matter what, it can come in any shape or sign or form, whether it's from a child or from like somebody like us, where we do actually charge for our time and our experience, right? So I think sometimes, like, we have to get the benefit of both sides, help our clients and then help ourselves too, because the number one investment is ourselves. It's a cliche, but it's true. The smartest people in the world I know invest in themselves. The best athletes in the world. Imagine if LeBron James said, hey, I got veins popping out of my biceps. Fuck you, trainer. It's like he's not going to give up on his training. He spends $1 million on his body a year. So he can afford it, of course, but his body is the reason he's 38 and still top 5 NBA player, arguably. Anyways, let's get into the offers. What you get? Let's dial in some shit. I'm gonna make this a live Q&A. I have about 18 more minutes, so I got to rapid fire through some stuff. I want to make sure this is valuable. But A, I appreciate all you guys being on here, and B, all the comments that you guys said about being in the VIP section for the Facebook land to hear. And speaking of Facebook land, #live, #replay. And if you wanted to hop on to Zoom, you're more than able to. You just have to find the link. It's been plastered all over the group and the events and whatnot, just like these lovely people found it. So hop on if you want to jump on live and jam out here. All right, anybody have any questions? I'm going to start off with Q&A. Just raise your hand, don't unmute, and then we can go into it. And while I'm waiting for you guys to go ahead and ask any questions, I just want to go over some ways to think about your offer, because what I want you guys to be aware of is what I'm not saying and also what I'm saying. Because whenever I talk about like having a downsell or an in the door offer, this does not mean you're eliminating everything else. This means it's a pathway to it. Sometimes the pathway is we're starting to talk up here with a big solution, and the decision-making process may go very, very long. So then we bring it down. We bring it down a level to a starting point. The second part is where we're coming out the gate as a starting point. Coming out the gate, if I explain a couple things like a gym, they're coming out the gate, 0 enrollment, first month, $1. They're coming out the gate. Just get your butt in here. In the next 30 days, we'll make sure you show up enough where you get into the 54-month range and you stay. So they're coming right out the gate, foot in the door offer. Now somebody like in a marketing business, they may be coming out the gate with the whole solution. Like I got the website, I got the SEO, I got the paid ads. For that stack, it's just $3,000 a month. So instead of paying $20,000 or $15,000 for the website, we're just going to have it blended, but you get all these other marketing services. So by the time 5 months rolls around, you'd have already paid for a big website. We're just including it in the marketing service. So we all benefit. All right. So they may come up out the gate with the top solution. In that case, you may have to downsell. In that case, you may have to go into saying like, hey, well, why don't we get your Google My Business up and running so we can get some traffic? Because if we start with a website, we'll now have a website with no traffic. What makes more sense? Create the budget and we grow, or would you like to invest into the brand and then we just grow it a little bit slower? Right. So we're positioning the downsell offer. And then the opposite for the trainer. If you get in with the $1 thing and you ascend up, let's just say they ask good questions and somebody says, my doctor prescribed me to go to the gym 3 times a week. I need light cardio and some weights. A smart person should be selling them training right then and there. A not smart person would just say, come on in and sign up for the $1. All right. So we just have to make sure that we make our services aware and available. And I believe that anybody that ever rings us, ever clicks our ad, or ever opts in, and forget about all the bad inquiries like fake numbers, that's excluded. That happens in every business. I believe they want the service. And I believe we're the ones that need to uplevel our skills to be able to understand how we can get them in the service. Because it's going to be a skill gap, not and a knowledge gap from the client. And our job is to have the skill to give them the knowledge to make the decision. And that comes on us. So we have to take responsibility. Okay, Mr. Don, what do we got?
So just want to let you know, I went to a networking event last night and people are asking, like, what do you do? And so I use your thing. So like, you know how it is when you're busy, especially like being an insurance agent and you miss a call and how much money you lose because they're going to somebody else. So that's what I take care of, man. We were able to reach out to them and say, hey, sorry, we're on the phone by text, and there you go. And the girl I was talking to, she goes, oh my God, builders need this. I'm on the board of the local builders association. And she goes, we need to hook up and I need to introduce you. It was got to come up with your pricing structure and a whole bit. So thank you for the tip.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Look how small tweak that, like, it's wild the shit that can happen when you believe it, you use it, and you improve it. You know what I mean? Because like, who gives
Say
a
that
fuck?
again.
Yeah, because like I know that the rule is the elevator to the top, and you have 30 seconds. if you don't have 30 seconds and you have 45, go ahead and use it. Like just don't bore. The whole idea is to create curiosity and not bore the other person like 99.9% of America will do. Like half the conversations I get into, I'm like, God, they don't realize my brain has gone in a totally different direction. And when they're done, I'm like, ah. And then I'm like, okay, so I don't have to respond. It's so boring, right? So when you create interest, then you create opportunity. And that's fucking awesome. That's great, Don. And if you guys missed that, I mean, that's too bad. You're just gonna have to join the VIP now. All right, Cheyenne, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. This is a little bit off topic, but I've started going through your modules on the inner circle, and it says that the average, marketing client is only with you for 2 months. Your numbers are a little bit higher at 6 months. So, I mean, obviously you've got a very leaky bucket. I mean, and you're always constantly filling it. Are there reasons behind that? Like if you're obviously generating business for a business, why do they leave? I guess I don't understand that.
Well, like, I mean, have you ever hired a marketing company for your for your agency, for your cabinet company?
No, we
Oh, you
haven't.
haven't? Okay. Got
No,
it.
I've
Right. So
done
then-
all our marketing.
Okay, you've done all your marketing. So essentially the way business owners think is that if you're dealing with somebody in a small business environment and let's say you're paying somebody $2,000 and then you're making them $8,000. So from an ROI perspective, it looks like a 4-to-1 ratio, right? So for every dollar, 4 is coming out, which is correct on the top line math. But what happens is they have overhead, they have salaries, and by the time their payment comes through, they may not be making as much as they thought. And the only person they can look at is their number one expense that is not internal or considered essential. So when a business makes decisions on like, where do I have to cut costs, they're going to cut it on the outside vendor. They're not going to cut it on the assistant that doesn't do a lot or isn't trained properly that gets paid double, because they have the emotional proximity of connection with them, sitting them every single day in the office, right? Because we've had people we haven't fired that suck that work for us. They know they probably suck too. It was just our bad leadership at the time, because it was so convenient, because they got our coffee and brought donuts once a week or something. We're like, oh, this person is irreplaceable, right? But when we look at it from a marketing standpoint, the first person that goes is going to be the marketer. That's just the way it's always been. Like when a marketing company gets hired, if they're not aware that that vendor or that client is trying to fire them, then they're not smart enough. They're blind. But the math, the reason is the reason you keep people longer is that you have a good, transparent relationship, and you have clients that are finding solutions versus finding problems. So when a lot of our clients, like when we have clients, I mean, they go on for multiple years. But the reality is we're just good at talking to them, being very, very transparent. And like when there's tough times, we address them. We don't just skirt around them and try to be like, oh, give it time like everybody else. Let's re-optimize some shit. That's just marketing lingo nobody likes to hear, because then they're going to hear it in 3 more months. So I think it comes down to like, is the quality of the product good that you're implementing? Can you demonstrate through proof that it's actually working? 3, can you future pace the client to continue to go longer, knowing that in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years from now, this is how we can change lives for ourselves, our families, and get a 2nd, 3rd, 4th location if that's the ultimate dream.
So then there are things that that honestly, that was just a little discouraging to see too. And then, with
It'd be
this,
discouraging. Yeah. It should
right?
be.
Like, I'm like, holy
I
cow,
start some of your, yeah,
constantly filling the bucket.
totally. And I mean, but look at any business, like look at like your cabinet business, you have to fill the bucket every month. Yours is a one-time, presumably thing for the next decade, unless they break some shit and come back to you, if they even remember to come back.
Right.
Like the cabinets, I couldn't name my cabinet company, period. Like I'd have to Google it and try to remember the name or scroll through credit card statements. There's absolutely no way. It's not like I have an intimate relationship with them unless they're good at creating relationship with me.
So there's the key, is the relationship, and the relationship building plus delivering results, obviously. Right. Okay.
I think they both go hand in hand. Yeah, 100%. They have to go hand in hand together, because there's people that are really good at what they do And if you don't like them, you want to like avoid calling them. Like, I mean, like, look at, like, if I give a NFL example, I love sports analogies, like Antonio Brown, an NFL wide receiver, one of the best in the league at the time he was playing. But guess what? Nobody wants him on the team because he's a piece of shit. Like Tom Brady didn't even want him on the team, kicked him off, or the coach did at least. So that's kind of like when you have high talent and terrible relationship skills, it doesn't always work out, right? Because I know people that are really, really talented at sales, but their attitude fucking stinks. So the last thing I'd want them is on my team, because they're just become a cancer. Even though they can make a lot of money, they'll also kill a lot of culture. But that's how important the relationships are. Like being available, but not overly available, being able to control the project, set expectations, get the team on the right page. It takes some leadership. We're not trying to get fired. We're trying to grow. And that's kind of a big part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Totally. And transparency. I mean, like, fuck, we're not magicians, right? I mean, it's like, I would love to be able to tell people, come on board and you'll get 10 clients in the first like 15 days or something. But I don't know what their background is. Like, I can get them the leads to get the opportunity to be successful. But if they can't close, they can't convert, they don't have the systems, and they're unwilling to invest into those systems, or just not ready to, and think they can do it, then my relationship changes in the sense that I have to almost tell them like, hey, we got 20 leads. Can you walk me through the follow-up process and how you're able to connect with them? Remember how we said it takes about 8 to 11 contacts to have a meaningful conversation to be able to convert those. And that's where 80% of sales are. And that's just data from MIT and big sophisticated institutions. Like, can we assume that's correct? And can we do that? All right. Well, would it make sense to spend an extra $300 so you don't have to spend like 3,000 minutes of time or whatever it takes to invest into the systems to supplement you to be able to get that 80% of opportunity? Because if you feel it's slipping, why not solve for it? But if you want to let it slip, then we can just stay the same, right? Because then we're all going to get fired. They're going to go out of business, and then we're just going to have to get a new client instead of them. Yeah, so we just kind of walk people through like both emotion and logic. I mean, the logic alone should stand alone on its own 2 feet, but nobody makes a decision based on logic. Otherwise, everybody would be fucking ripped and have 6-packs and never need a doctor. It's logical to be in shape. All right. Cool. All right. Did I answer your question, Shan? Okay, cool. And Marie.
Okay, so I'm going to dinner with my friend, the spa owner, and she has since in the last 6 weeks got her new facility open, and it's pristine. And I walk in there and I'm like, holy crap, she must have dumped probably 150,000. So we're on a little bit of a break. I owe her 2 more hours because she wanted to put it on pause, and we're going out to celebrate. And I went to her open house, and it was awesome to see that one of her sales signs said only 680. So where we left off with our last campaign was what was bringing her in business. I sent her a screenshot of just a bar graph that shows that her direct traffic went up with a thumbs up, but then the visual is that the organic traffic went down. So just layman's visuals about SEO, and she gets it. So since you say emotions, we're going out to dinner, man. I hope that like we're going to continue to work together, because she also asked, because there's a whole bunch of money that can be made, not for me, but for her. And that's the part I really like. She subsequently is like so excited because the local casino, MGM, referred her. And then the city of Springfield wants, she does business with them some on the visitors board, right? So then she asked me about like a week and a half ago, she's like, they want me to present a meeting, and I wanted to go. Well, would you consider me hiring you for like IT, like you go with me, so that like I know my Zooms work, and I just would feel better having you there. So that's working.
Yeah.
So we're gonna meet on Wednesday at her favorite restaurant. And I like what you said, emotions, because she's on emotional high. She's got a lot of money out, and I just want to help her. So, and I like your phrases, like what you say, in the spirit of, but how do you just sit there and just be quiet and ask the right questions so that she just wants to pick up that ball again so that we can get working on getting new
Well,
business?
I would just ask the simple question, maybe at dinner if appropriate, and just saying like, hey, that's amazing that you have that opportunity. Like, what are you doing to prepare for it? And then she's gonna obviously, she already asked you to go in, so she's like, would you mind coming in with me? I'm like, yeah, that's totally fine. What would that look like if I was consulting for you?
Okay.
Yeah, and just let her kind of diagnose like what it is you want to do. If you're just going for a meeting just to give her the confidence to be able to close the deal, and if that's the answer you get, I would maybe say like, what happens if like I'm not available and you go on your own? Because like that's a logical thing to do, because if we're trying to open the gap, and friends aside, and this is just a business conversation, like if I know that like, well, fuck, if I fuck this whole thing up, I'm like, okay, what would that cause? And then
Yeah.
that causes lots of money. And what that opens up is opportunity and budget. And then you realize that, hey, it would be stupid of me not to pay Emery $1,000 to show up to this meeting for MGM and a city endorsing me. Like that's a game changer. Like if I got a hair salon placed in the Four Seasons and where I live, that dude better give me like more than a fucking dinner. That can like I
Oh,
would be
yeah.
responsible for his whole entire brand if you get into a Four Seasons, because you're going to be there for 3 or 4 years. You're stuck. Like you have the people have no choice but to buy hair and cuts and shit from you, right? Like so I mean, yeah, my friend had a thing in Four Seasons and then he was in 8. So it's like a life changer. Then you can have like a hair glue line or whatever the fuck it is, right? You have options once you're rich.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That's what I would kind of lean the conversation is get into consulting, but then you can roll it back and saying like have a more serious conversation about like helping being a long-term part of the online marketing for the new salon with the grand opening, and capitalize off if the lady says she spent 150 grand, like saying that's amazing, you got a really cool place, it's definitely worth it. Like as far as filling it up, is that something you are looking to lean on me for?
Okay. That's fine. And it's
Yeah,
so
but
funny because the part of the spa, the new location, I seriously think came from during the pandemic. She had mentioned to me, I think I'm gonna get a more accessible ramp to the building. And I'm so that and her reasoning was this. So I'm not wanting to offend anybody, okay? So that's my
handicap, right? Like the ramp, it makes sense.
yeah,
Sure.
so I had said to her, I said, and why would you want to do that? And she's like, well, my clientele. And I'm like, okay, well, that I said when we had to do ours 15 years ago, it was $40,000. So to get the appropriate ramp now would probably cost you 75. You'd have to open up permits and all that. And wouldn't it just make sense to like target a different type of clientele that maybe doesn't have to,
Mhm.
you could take that money that you would spend and use it better to target a
Later.
wider audience. And
Yeah.
then he's like, yeah, you're right. So she spun it off and went like mega and it's one floor and it's pristine. So, okay. All right. So I see what you're saying. So just be quiet and listen. And then like long-term partnership, if that comes up. And then, yeah, because I know that some of the attention comes from the campaigns that we did together.
Hmm.
Yeah. All
Cool.
right. Thanks.
Yep, you got it. Matt, what we got?
Hey, brother.
Hey.
So, I was hit up out of the blue by a landscaping friend from BNI from several years ago. He needs a lot of business. So the thing is, he's already has some system, some software that basically it's owned by QuickBooks. It synchronizes and it can do texting, it can do emails, can do all the same go high level stuff. But he doesn't want to do any of it all. He's not been utilizing it all. So I'm trying to figure out like trying to move him over and sell him on my system, which I already kind of tested the waters. And he was like, I already have all this, can't you just work within mine? Which I've looked at it. He gave me access. It's not insurmountable, but it's a lot more work because I have to figure out his system. And then, that recurring model, the SaaS kind of thing kind of goes away. So I'm trying to figure out, what do I price this at? He does hardscape work, so it's like $10,000 patios and retaining walls and that kind of stuff. So that's his price point, and he's got all this stuff in, he's got like only 1,200 people or something in his database. So I think there's potential there. I'm just trying to figure out how to work it and what to even price it at if I am keeping all within his stuff.
Well, I mean, if that's the goal, like a pricing question, like without going into the sales approach, like from a price standpoint, I would just give them a cost comparison, because right now you have unknowns. Like if somebody asked me to work on Salesforce, Salesforce people would probably charge anywhere between like, I don't know, 150 to 800 an hour. So I'd have to Google it, get an average. I'll say, here's what you're going to get, the spectrum. I'm right in the middle. And then here's the price if you want me to work on Salesforce, but it's going to be costly. It's going to be expensive. And when we need to make changes in the future, this is what it's going to look like. Now, on the other hand, I'm happy to do that. But on the other hand, here's where I think we can get best of all worlds. We can get something, but also a little bit more. So I want you to understand how this works. And then I would lead, if it's like, if you can copy and paste, not this easy, obviously, but if you can create the same experience he's getting with his existing system without him knowing the difference other than how to find things around the house, in this case, the CRM, and how more scalable it could be with DBRs or missed call textbacks or review generation and invoicing and payments and all the shit High Level brings in, then I would migrate them over. And then you have a migration cost, which is your setup. And then you have whatever your content to fill in the blanks of the automations and whatever stuff you want to consult or charge for. But then the software in itself can reduce his price if he's paying more. Yeah, right here. It can reduce the cost because it's not per user license, right? So I always put that in some people's mind in the sense of, like, the best part is right now you'd be the only user. Let's say you get a second person, you don't have to pay another $300. And if you get a third person, you don't have to pay another $300. So there's $600 saved right there. You can have as many people under you as you want. You just let me know. And when you want me to kick them out, I can boot them out. If you want to give them permission restrictions, I could do that too. So I have all the flexibility. And the best part is, as we scale, it doesn't hurt you by being successful.
Right.
Like Salesforce, like HubSpot. And if you get more contacts, unlimited contacts. We're not going to be like the Zohos and the HubSpots and the Salesforces that, hey, by being more successful and being better than the rest of the population, you should be penalized. We're going to reward you by not charging you more. So that's the cool incentives we have.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just
That
finding
makes sense. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, like, knowing this guy is so old school, like all of his shit's on paper. I think it's going to be it's a hard sell regardless, but I think you're right. If I just say like, hey, well, this is what it's going to cost for me to do it all within your system. However, this is what you'll save if I do it in my system, kind of thing.
Well, what if you just don't find out what Go High Level does that he may be missing, and just have both systems initially to start the relationship and saying, hey, let me not change anything. I got an idea to run by you. What if I just got your existing clients to repeat purchase, write you 5-star referrals on Google, or even refer you the business? Like, what if we just did the automation to start? Because I know how you operate. I get it. You want to stay within a sophisticated system or whatever system you're in. And change is not easy, right? So why don't we not change and let me enhance, and then let me just start here and then charge them the same price?
Right. No, what I'm up against is that so far what I've seen in his system, it does like everything High Level does. And it's 200, he's paying like two and a quarter or something a month for it.
Okay, then what is he not using in the everything system, right?
He's just not, he's actually just not utilizing it.
Okay,
he has it all, but he's not utilizing it.
Yeah, so then you have a big enough gap where you can take the stuff out of there and just move it into High Level if you wanted to. Or, I mean, if it's a matter of a Google search and you have to just figure out how to utilize the database reactivation or how to mass distribute a message, if it's something simple enough, then you can charge your own fee, that whatever you want, an hourly,
Right.
or like, hey, for $1,500, I'm gonna give me about, I don't know, whatever your hourly, let's say it's $500 an hour. Give me 3 hours. I'm gonna figure this shit out. If I need more, I'll let you know. But I don't think I'll need more. But if I do, I'll come back to you. Okay, like this is what I expect to accomplish, because I mean, imagine going to a lawyer and saying, "Hey, can you write me a contract?" And they'll say it'll take me 3 hours. If it takes them 7, you can pay for 7, right?
Right,
We're doing our best guesstimate to solve a bigger problem, or just charge more up front. Like for $3,000, here's what I can do. 'Cause if
Right.
he's making
And
good
that's
money-
it. And that's what I was trying to kind of figure out. So I appreciate that. Like, it is just like, I priced myself too low, and it's certainly like on a SaaS thing, in my own high level, like I can do that and play the long game. But, on something like this, where this could just be like a one-off of me making sure it's all set up for him. And like, so I think you're right. Like $500 an hour or something is probably reasonable for my time to do that.
Yeah, and just get him a quick win, because if you can generate whatever that quick win means to him, sometimes quick wins are peace of mind, somebody that
Yeah.
answers the phone, a person they can soundboard off of. Once you find that angle of what that quick win is for that person, start there, because like
Right.
if they don't want customers and you get them a customer, they're not going to appreciate it as much as, because they might be too busy, right? Some people are.
Right.
And then other people want a 5-star review over anything, or something solved so they have peace of mind, so they don't go to bed at night feeling like, man, this is chaos, even though it's not, right?
Sure.
But some people just wake up like, fuck, I wish my systems, and they're stressing themselves out, right? So if that's the peace of mind, then you're always going to be the go-to for when somebody feels cloudy, they call you. Like,
Yeah.
right, like the Temptations, right? You'll be the month of May. It's coming up. Good timing for that, too, right?
Right on.
Cool.
All right. Thanks.
Yep, you got it, man. All right. I got to get going, guys. All right. So hotdogoffer.com. For those of you guys in Facebook group, Imad and Samer, raise your hands physically. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, those guys are on our team. So if they reach out to any of you guys, they're on my team. They'll reach out either from their profile or mine. And then we're gonna drop you guys will get a lot of emails from us in terms of registering for this thing. Anybody already in the VIP gets it for free. Anybody not, it's just $7 to join it. That's Cody's price. If it was my price, it would be $197 for those 2 days. So
When's it start?
what's that?
When does it start?
It starts next week. The emails will say the date. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday. One of those 2 days. I think it's Tuesday. I think it's Wednesday and Thursday. But in the email, we'll get I'll drop a message in the group as well. But let me actually look at the landing page real quick. I could have sworn it was.
Because the only email I've gotten is like a $7 offer, so I'm just waiting for the other email.
Okay, yeah. Once you're registered, maybe I'll have to buy it myself to get the dates. But yeah, it's gonna be Wednesday and Thursday next week. So I'll get everybody. I'll make sure it's absolutely abundantly clear in the Facebook group everywhere. It'll be plastered all over that it's going to be at that particular time. So it'll be Wednesday, Thursday next week. We'll get I think it's 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But I'm gonna plaster it all over the group and the banners and everything. You guys won't be able to miss it. I'll everyone tag you guys. Okay. All right, guys, have a good rest of the Saturday. Imad, if you guys can drop the links in the Facebook streams in both the groups, etc. And if anybody needs help, hop on a call with our team. We do the battle calls. That's for the VIP people. If you're not in the VIP, hop in that sucker, $7, and then we'll see you guys next week. All right, bye, guys.